If you're sleeping 8 hours and still waking up exhausted, the problem is not your discipline. And it's probably not your sleep duration either. This is where most advice on the subject completely misses the mark. We've been taught to think of sleep as a transaction. Put in enough hours, get energy back. That model is broken. Sleep is not what restores you. Recovery is what restores you. Sleep is just one input. And for high performers, it's often the only input that anyone ever talks about. So let's dismantle the first myth right now. Feeling exhausted after a full night's sleep does not mean you slept poorly. It means your body failed to downshift into a true recovery state. That is a nervous system problem, not a bedtime problem. And here's what most people don't understand. You can be unconscious for 8 hours and still never leave a stress-dominant physiological state. Your brain shuts off, your body doesn't. Heart rate stays elevated, stress hormones remain active, inflammation doesn't resolve, energy systems don't recharge. From the outside, it looks like sleep. Internally, it's more like a ceasefire than a reset. And this is why the whole sleep more thing is such lazy advice. It assumes that the problem is time. It rarely is. The real issue is what state your body is in while you sleep. High performers are especially vulnerable here. You're used to running with pressure in the background, deadlines, responsibility, mental load. That pressure doesn't shut off just because the lights go out. Over time, the nervous system adapts to being on all the time. Sympathetic dominant, alert, ready. That adaptation keeps you very productive during the day, but it quietly steals your ability to recover at night. And here's the kicker. You don't feel stressed. You feel normal because that state has become your baseline. So when you wake up exhausted after 8 hours of sleep, the confusion starts to set in. You're thinking, maybe I slept enough. I went to bed on time. I did everything right. Yes, you did, but your system never stood down. Now let's layer in the second problem, cortisol rhythm. Cortisol is not bad. It's supposed to rise in the morning to wake you up, fall at night to let recovery happen. Under chronic demand, that rhythm flattens or sometimes even shifts. Some people run cortisol too high at night. Others can't generate enough in the morning. Either way, sleep is losing its restorative power. You might fall asleep fine. You might even stay asleep. But the hormonal environment is wrong for repair. This is why you can wake up feeling like you didn't sleep at all. Now, let's add blood sugar into the mix. If your blood sugar drops overnight, your body perceives that as a threat. So it responds the only way it really knows how, by releasing stress hormones. That spike wakes the system up internally, even if you don't remember waking up. Sleep becomes fragmented at a physiological level. And again, you don't notice it. You just feel wrecked in the morning. And this is where the misunderstanding around the whole subject deepens. People assume exhaustion means that they need more rest. In reality, exhaustion after sleep means recovery is being blocked. Blocked by stress signaling, blocked by hormonal misalignment, blocked by metabolic instability, not blocked by lack of hours. And this is why naps don't fix the problems either, and weekends don't fix it, and vacations don't fix it, because the system doesn't know how to turn off yet. Here's the most important reframe. Waking up tired is not a failure. It's feedback. Your body is telling you that sleep alone is no longer enough to counterbalance the total load that you're under. This doesn't mean you're sick or broken. It just means that the rules have changed. So the real question isn't, why am I still tired after 8 hours of sleep? The better question is this. What is preventing my body from actually recovering while I am asleep? That's what we need to uncover, because once you understand that, the solution stops being generic advice and starts becoming precise. And that is exactly where we're going to go next. Let's get specific here, because recovery doesn't fail randomly. It fails when certain systems stay activated overnight that were never meant to run 24 hours a day. Let's start with the nervous system. Your body has two primary modes. One is for action, one is for repair. During the day, you live in action mode. That's normal. At night, your body is supposed to shift into repair mode. But here's the issue. Many high performers never fully make that shift. The nervous system stays partially alert all night. Not panicked, not anxious, just on. Heart rate doesn't drop enough. Breathing stays shallow. Muscle tone remains elevated. This is called hyperarousal, and it's one of the most common reasons that people wake up tired after a full night's sleep. You can fall asleep just fine. You can stay asleep, but your body never enters the depth of recovery that it needs. This is why tracking devices often show low heart rate variability overnight. The system never relaxed enough to recharge. And now, let's layer in cortisol on top of all that other stuff. Cortisol should follow a predictable rhythm. High in the morning, low at night. Chronic demand disrupts that rhythm. Some people develop elevated cortisol late at night. Others develop cortisol that's too low in the morning. Both of those scenarios lead to exhaustion. If cortisol stays high at night, it blocks deep sleep and tissue repair. If cortisol is suppressed in the morning, you wake up flat, foggy, and just unmotivated. Either way, sleep has lost its restorative effect. And this is also why people say things like, I slept, but I just don't feel refreshed. That's not a sleep issue. That's a hormonal timing issue. And now, let's add another thing. Let's talk about blood sugar. This one catches a lot of people off guard. During sleep, your brain still needs fuel. If blood sugar drops too low overnight, your body perceives that as danger. So, it releases stress hormones to compensate. Adrenaline, cortisol. Enough to raise blood sugar back up to normal levels. And that spike doesn't always wake you up, not consciously, but it wakes your physiology. Heart rate increases, nervous system activates, and recovery shuts down. And this can happen multiple times a night. You never remember it, you just wake up exhausted. And this is why some people feel worse after clean dinners that are too light or too carb restrictive. The body doesn't have enough stable fuel to make it through the night. So it turns stress on to survive. Again, not a sleep problem, it's a stability problem. And now we also need to address mitochondria because this is where exhaustion becomes chronic. Mitochondria are responsible for producing energy inside your cells. They also handle a massive amount of overnight repair. So if mitochondria are underperforming, sleep simply doesn't recharge you. It just pauses the decline. Chronic stress, inflammation, blood sugar instability, and poor recovery all impair mitochondrial function. So even if the nervous system downshifts, the cells don't have the capacity to restore energy fully. And this is why exhaustion becomes persistent. Not because you're tired, because your energy-producing systems are compromised. And here's the brutal truth. Most people try and fix this with more sleep or more caffeine or more supplements. That's completely backwards. You don't fix recovery by adding more inputs. You fix it by removing the blocks. You stabilize the nervous system. You restore cortisol rhythm. You prevent overnight blood sugar crashes, and you support mitochondrial repair. When those systems are aligned, sleep becomes powerful again. But without them, sleep is just downtime. And this is also why weekends don't fix the problem. It's the same blocks, they're still there. The load might drop temporarily, but the system doesn't relearn how to recover in a day or two. So let me ask you the most important question in this entire discussion. If sleep itself isn't broken, but recovery is being blocked, what would you change if you stopped chasing more sleep and started rebuilding the systems that make sleep restorative? Because that's where the real fix lives. And that's what we're going to close with. Now that you understand what's blocking recovery, the question becomes practical. How do you fix this without turning sleep into another thing that you have to optimize perfectly? The first shift is conceptual. Stop treating sleep as a solution and start treating sleep as a test environment. Sleep reveals whether your systems are working. If you wake up exhausted after 8 hours, that's not failure, that's data. It tells you that your body didn't feel safe enough, stable enough, or resourced enough to repair. So the fix starts before you go to bed. The first priority is nervous system downshift. Your body cannot recover if it still thinks it's on duty. High performers are very good at staying alert. They're often very terrible at disengaging. And that doesn't mean meditation. It means lowering demand signals. Late night work, constant stimulation, problem solving right up to the point you go to bed. Those things keep the system primed. The goal is not relaxation. It's just permission to stand down. And that's a subtle difference, but it's critical. Next is stabilizing your cortisol rhythm. Your body needs a clear signal that daytime is over. Irregular schedules, late meals, alcohol, constant light exposure, they all blur that signal. You don't need perfect routines, but you do need predictability. Consistent sleep timing, a clear separation between work mode and rest mode. Because when cortisol knows when to rise and when to fall, sleep regains its power. Now let's talk about overnight blood sugar. This one fixes more mystery fatigue than almost anything else. If your body doesn't have stable fuel overnight, it will turn on stress to survive. That's not pathology, that's intelligence. The fix is not more carbs or less carbs universally. It's avoiding extremes. Very late dinners, highly restrictive eating, alcohol, disrupting glucose regulation. All of those things can force stress hormone release at night. Stable fuel equals fewer stress spikes, and fewer stress spikes equal deeper recovery. Then there's the mitochondria, and this is where patience is going to matter. You do not rebuild cellular energy systems overnight. You rebuild them by removing chronic stressors and giving them consistent conditions to repair. Inflammation down, blood sugar stable, stress regulated. When mitochondria recover, energy stops being something you chase. It becomes something you just have. And here's the key insight that most people are going to miss. None of this is about doing more. It's about stopping the things that prevent repair. High performers tend to stack more work, more training, more supplements, more discipline. Recovery improves when stacking stops. Not because effort is bad, but because the systems need margin to reset. And this is why burnout is always reversible. It's just harder the longer those blocks stay in place. Your body doesn't forget how to recover. It just needs the conditions to do it well again. So if you're waking up exhausted after 8 hours of sleep, don't assume you need more sleep. Ask better questions. Ask, is my nervous system ever truly off? Is my cortisol rhythm predictable? Is my blood sugar stable overnight? Are my energy systems supported, or are they constantly stressed? When those questions are answered, sleep becomes restorative again. And when sleep becomes restorative, everything else improves. Energy, focus, resilience, capacity. Again, not because you forced it, because the system finally got what it needed. So if this helped you understand why sleep hasn't been delivering the way it used to, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. Because this channel exists to explain why high performers feel exhausted even when they think they're doing everything right. And if you want deeper breakdowns on how to rebuild energy and recovery at the systems level, check the links in the description and understand, sleep is not failing you. Your body is just asking for a different approach. And now, you know what that looks like. I will see you all very soon. Take care.